Hey, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
This is a makeup for Parshat Vayigash.
We're a few hours ahead, but also an episode behind.
There you go. That's nice.
We're currently sitting in Jerusalem,
Steps away from Amela.
and there was a lot of Torah that came to us last week, but there was...
Not a lot of time that came to us.
It's maybe a good way of saying it. One thing we were thinking about is Vayigash Elav Yehuda, that Yehuda approaches his brother Yosef. They reconnect. So we flew to Israel last Thursday to see my brother, who's getting married this upcoming Wednesday.
Nice. This is, by the way, it's Monday night we're recording this.
Good call.
Because we might put out another podcast, depending on how this week goes. But I didn't want to go 2 weeks without putting out a podcast.
True. It's like missing 2 workouts. If you miss 1 week, you really miss 2 weeks, and then it starts a bad cycle. So we wanted the Torah of Vayigash Elav, meeting a brother, and then having that be a catalyst to maybe, talk about meetups in Israel. In Israel, we on the plane ride and in the airport, as we're walking out, we're like, who are we going to meet? Who are we going to Vayigash Elav? Who are we going to encounter, approach in Israel?
And there's usually one family that we see everywhere we go. And we're like, it doesn't feel like we're in Israel unless we see this family.
Yeah. And they don't live in Israel.
They don't live there. Yeah, they're totally different.
We just synchronize our...
We just happen to run into each other. It's always like,
Israel cycles.
Okay, now we're in Israel. We saw the Papier family.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you feel like you're in Israel?
No, because we didn't see the Papiers yet. Obviously.
Aside from checking that box, are there other boxes that you haven't checked that
I'm eager to go to the Kotel. That's one. We're very close and we haven't quite gotten there yet. I mean, it's a combination of things. Like, I don't want to hate on us for not getting there, even though we have such a zchus to be so close. But it's definitely more challenging with Eden. It's so funny. So there's a blessing that you say in Shemona Esrei for rain for Eretz Yisrael, because oftentimes there isn't rain in the wintertime. So we say Mashiv Aruch, Marita Geshem. And so a couple mornings ago, when I was davening Shemona Esrei, I said that blessing with a lot of kavana, a lot of intention. And then for 2 days, it was raining. So I was like, these are holy waters. Definitely wasn't the most pleasant to walk through, but it was definitely a major receiving of blessing. But you also don't want to risk your life on that old city stone when it's wet.
It's true.
Super slippery.
Jerusalem stone is a bit slippery when wet.
But there are no signs that say it. You just have to figure it out for yourself, that first slip.
That is true. So the rain has held you back from going to the Western Wall?
I think, yeah, it's the rain in that den.
What does going to the Kotel mean to you?
It's a good question. Part of it's just like what you do. It's like if you go to, I don't know, what's a good example? If you're visiting New York for the first time, you go to Times Square, right? So that's a piece of it. The other piece is like, the Old City was my home for a long time. I lived in the Old City for a bit, and it's important to visit your home and say thank you. And it's always sweet to see what's changed and to say hi to the regulars, and just it feels familiar and sweet and beautiful, like a reunion. And then the other piece is just you feel like it's so amazing to go to the Kotel with people who have never gone before, because so many people have this like visceral reaction and like they just get smacked with Kedusha, with holiness, and they're just like, wow, I've never felt these feelings before. And I think, thank God, we've been blessed to go to the Kotel many times, but we definitely experience maybe not a slap, but like a little poke. And we all need a little poking.
Yeah. And Eden, also, if we would go with her, she hasn't been to the Western Wall. She hasn't been to the Kotel yet.
Very true.
And we have a little book that we read to her. It's called 3 Falafels in My Pita. Hopefully you get a little more than 3 falafels in your pita.
The chetzi pita.
But it's like a mini pita for Eden.
Chetzi pita, you get 3 falafels. Whole pita, you get 6 falafels. That makes sense. The mom is mathing.
She's a little baby, so she only gets 3 falafels in her pita. But on page 8, it's 8 notes in the Western Wall. And we say, Eden, there are 8 notes in the Kotel. And then she takes the book and she goes,
Yeah, that was, I don't know Did people understand what that was?
I think people know that was like
Mwah! Maybe that's better.
that was probably a little bit that of a kiss.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she gives the
This isn't on video. If we recorded our podcasts with the camera, it would be a different story.
too complicated.
Yeah,
For season 2.
And I like being in my pajamas. Let's be real.
You could be
Let's call a spade a spade.
but it's gonna be cute. Hopefully, then we'll give the Kotel a kiss.
We'll read the 3 falafels in my pizza book at the hotel. It'll be great. The only thing about that book is that it then gets confused because after we get to page, she just starts kissing every page, and we're like, "Now what, Dan? You only kiss this page."
You only kiss the Kotel and the mezuzahs. When we pass by a mezuzah, we also tell Eden to kiss that.
Yeah, and we're like, "Please don't kiss page number 2 with 2 kids playing paddleball on the beach like, in a lot. Like it's not needed."
Yeah, but she's a little mitzvah girl.
Yeah.
She likes being a holy little nugget.
So since we missed the parsha, and we're in Eretz Yisrael, it's a good opportunity to speak about the Torah from the land. So, what are some of your favorite Israel Torahs?
Specifically, Torah related to Israel.
Yeah.
I really like the idea that every Daled Amot you walk in Israel,
I was going to say that.
every 6 feet or so that you walk in Israel is, they say, another mitzvah. And I was on a semester abroad program, and we would take bus trips to a lot of places. It's debatable. Do you really, if you're on a bus, does it count? Are you really getting the, what we call schar halicha, the
Merit of
walking? Yeah. So I don't know, are you really exerting yourself for the land to travel the land, or a bus is taking you? So I would not go on the bus, and I would always bike to the destinations that we were going to.
And it's quite mountainous.
Yeah, Jerusalem is Harim Savivla is a city.
You have to do it in the yeshiva boys choir sound so people actually know what you're talking about.
Yerushalayim.
Yeah, that song. This is what he's quoting.
Harim Savivla.
Hashem Savim Liyamai.
And so mountains surround Jerusalem, and God surrounds the Jewish people. But it's
go on TikTok if you haven't seen that off at all. It's amazing. Everyone's like, "This song's the best. Have no idea what they're saying." And totally not Jewish people.
It's good shtick.
Such good shtick.
But a part of, I think, the idea of walking, part of the idea of also Israel having hills is that it's a place where you have to earn it. It's to a certain extent, you come here, things hopefully feel natural, feel good, feel in line, but it's something that you have to work for. You have to take those steps. You have to run up those mountains to sometimes feel it. Sometimes it doesn't only come naturally, but you have to work for it a little bit, but then it's even sweeter.
Yeah. And that Daled, well, firstly, it was great that you were able to get the Daled Amot mitzvah in, right? That every 4 Amot. But you also liked your alone time on that program. Let's be real.
I did like my alone time, and it's a good way to get exercise, bike riding.
Yeah, and then he shows up to a very fancy tour with these elite people, and he's schwitzing. It was a good look.
Yeah, I
Great conversation starter.
Yeah, I had a change of shirt. I had a little towel.
Nice.
I figured it out.
But I really like the Daled Amot Torah for 2 other reasons. One, it's great when you get lost, because then you're okay, this is so annoying. I have no idea where I am, but at least I'm getting mitzvahs for every 4 steps. Or when you're on a hike and you're so tired and you're every 4 steps, every 4 steps. But then also, I think a lot of the times we, especially when we're traveling and we're in unfamiliar places, more recently, I would say, we have a tendency to just okay, I have an idea of where I want to go. Let me pop it into the GPS. Let me follow the Waze. Let me go here and there. And we don't wander enough, and we don't explore enough and keep our eyes open and just enjoy the stroll. And I think that's something that I hold on to when I'm okay, I want coffee now. I'm in Israel. Okay, let me just walk around Daled Amos. This is great. I'm getting a mitzvah every 4 steps I take. I'll find a coffee shop eventually. It'll be great.
And it will be great. Today we went to Cafe Bashuk, which is nice coffee in the marketplace. And we got affogatos, which is...
Not to be mistaken with avocados.
Which are some delicious espresso-covered ice cream. Do you put the espresso and then like vanilla ice cream in, or do you put vanilla ice cream and then espresso in?
It's a great question. I think that that's kind of like, you know how in Israel, like a latte is called a latte, or you can say like cafe hafuch, which is like an upside down latte because it's about the orders. So maybe there is some nuance, but maybe it's not just called an affogato. Maybe it's an affogato hafuch,
Right.
something like that.
Yeah. But I don't know. Someone told me it's like do you put the cereal in first or the milk in first?
Everybody knows that it's the cereal.
Everyone knows it's a cereal, so therefore you put the thing that's like heavier in first.
Yeah, I do think you do the ice cream and then you do because also you need a splash guard if you did the latte part, the espresso shot, and then
Right. Yeah,
it's just bad.
Yeah, no, you got to pour the espresso over the ice cream.
Yeah, because then also
then it melts.
The whole top part of the ice cream is just not getting any goodness.
Right. But maybe then you dip it in.
No, you don't have to work for your affogato. It should just be.
Well, we were talking about working for the land of Israel.
Yeah, but you don't work for your affogato. That's where you draw the line.
Right. In terms of things also being like, maybe you have to work for them or like walking, there's an idea that all the mitzvot, all the commandments outside of the land of Israel, there's kind of two ways of reading it. One is that...
But what is it? Explain what it is.
Commandedness of the Torah commandments and mitzvot.
Right. So there's actually a question of, do the commandments apply?
Right. So that's one way of seeing it. So one way of seeing it is that they don't necessarily apply. All mitzvot, all commandments fundamentally stem from us being in our ancestral homeland, in the land of Israel.
So explain that further, meaning
that it's only when you're in this place that the commandments are actually commanded or enforceable.
And that would make sense because
this is like the place where they're meant to be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, like a lot of like the korbanot, like the sacrifices and all the associated mitzvot can only happen here. The shalosh regalim, like you're supposed to go make out like la'alot to Jerusalem, like you're supposed to go up to Jerusalem. Like everything's like, it's tied to seasons of Israel, right? It's like Sukkot was not meant to be like, I mean, in Florida, you're schwitzing. In New York, you're freezing. In Israel, it's perfect. Sukkot's beautiful.
Also in LA, it's beautiful.
Yeah, LA too, yeah.
So Sukkot is like...
They got lucky.
It's like it's meant to be celebrated in Israel and LA.
Exactly, yeah.
But like...
That was in the parentheses.
Yeah, that was it.
Slip over.
Yeah, they missed that part. That's in the super commentary of the Bible. So you could say this is the place where the commandments are enforced, and then outside is either maybe it's not commanded or not enforced, or it's like it's commanded for practice, that like you have to practice.
Which is like quite like, I don't want to say radical, but I do want to say that has like significant ramifications, right? Like, or implications for what it means to be a Jew in the exile.
Right. Is it a decentralization in the sense of like, now we have a decentralized workforce? We used to all be in one headquarters doing our work, and now we're doing our work from everywhere. So maybe you're tapping into it, and it's
all about that.
Yeah, and it's not that you're really practicing outside in the sense of that it's like practice, but that it went from you must be in person, you must be in the land, to a decentralized model where no, these commandments apply everywhere and are, for the most part, there, and we're transporting it in a unnatural way, but also in a way that you can zoom in. We created like a spiritual technology to take the temple and have mini temples throughout the world.
It's a very dangerous metaphor because there's a pretty significant prohibition against making another temple and many temples.
Well, we call our shuls, they're called a mikdash me'at, a mini. So you could say it's not a mini in the sense that it's...
Okay, just guys, don't start building altars places.
No. That's not the goal.
It's just what I wanted to...
Okay. What do you think the danger of it all is, though? What are you saying that's like dangerous?
Well, I think like it's great that people start developing like different flavors of doing things and customs, and right, like there's Sephardi Jews, there's Ashkenazi Jews. We're all Jews. All of our Judaism is valid and beautiful. But then there are certain times where it can get to feel not Jewish or just like too distant, right? Or too influenced by the culture around us. I mean, we're recording this on Christmas, where Hanukkah, it's the holiday of lights. There is an idea of like giving stuff, but like 8 presents, 8 nights, Hanukkah bush, that whole business, like
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, yeah. So
the Chrismica, actually, I read it as an earlier iteration in Germany and Austria. The Jews called it Weinica, which is how you say Christmas, and that even back in the 1800s in Germany and in Austria, they already had these joint Christmas Hanukkah celebrations called Weinica. So it's not even a new thing since the 1800s. Yeah. But the flip side of it, so we have this decentralization of like Sephardi and Ashkenaz and Yemenite and Ethiopian and Russian and
lost
Italian.
tribes.
Yeah, lost tribe and American Jewry and how they all kind of create these different flavors. But then in Israel, there is a preserving of flavors, but there's sometimes also a blending and a blanding of flavors. There was a push by, I think it was Rabbi Herzog in Israel, who was one of the early chief rabbis. I think just a chief rabbi of the army. And he created, what he tried was Nusach Echad, or Ichud, and to create a Nusach Israeli, and to take the Sephardic prayers and the Ashkenaz prayers and the Yemenite prayers and to make one hybrid form. Like we're sitting right now on King David Street, but one street over is the founder of the language Esperanto, which is a language that tries to combine, kind of like takes the best parts of all languages to create like one unified language.
Sounds epic. Sign me up.
Yeah. So he was a Jewish person, like this big like peace activist. There's actually a lot of people around the world who speak Esperanto. It's probably very easy to learn. And
it's the best of the best.
Yeah. One of the beautiful things about Israel is to look at all the street signs. There's a lot of interesting historical figures there. But that's kind of what this Rabbi Herzog was trying to do in Israel, to make like one Jewish spiritual language. And it didn't take off. It exists. But there was a big pushback because it was like, no, these different offshoots are beautiful.
Right. And so it kind of reminds me. So today we went on a shuk tour. So in Machane Yehuda, we went on the tour of the shuk, and this culinary expert took us around and took us to his vendors. And so what was the theme of all the foods that we were eating?
They were all Middle Eastern, but Jewish, but
no,
different. I don't know.
Wrong answer. I don't know if he just couldn't hear because you were with Eden at times. So
probably, yes. Yeah.
So he was talking about how in all these different cultures, they have some sort of laminated pastry or laminated bread, laminated something, which is basically there's like the layer of the dough, and then there's a fat, and then dough, and then fat, and that creates different layers. Like when you think of a croissant, or when you think of chachnud, or barekas, and so or mufleta. Yeah, so we basically went around to all these different places and tried these different laminated yummy things, all from very different cultures. Oh, also like, what did we eat? What was that last thing? The Turkish kanafe. Yeah. So it's all of the Jews coming together, all their different layers that look very different, that taste very different, all in the same spot.
But they all have that same core ingredient.
Yep.
Of what's inside them, this
fat.
The Torah is compared to like butter.
Is it
something that you have to churn?
So, where is it compared to butter?
It talks about it in the Talmud. It says, where can you find the butter of Torah? From the baby who spits out its mother's milk.
Ooh, what a beautiful quote. Write that on a sweatshirt and start wearing it.
Yeah, and Rav Kook says, I think I shared this at Andrew's bar mitzvah, and then my mom said I couldn't share this at Lindsay's bat mitzvah, but it's Andrew's wedding coming up.
Why couldn't you share it at Lindsay's bar mitzvah?
Because I already had shared it at Andrew's bar mitzvah, and she's like, you shared that idea once, you don't get to do it twice.
Oh, it's not just because she was like, stop talking about babies spitting things up. That's just not cute.
No. And Eden's very cute, even when she spits up.
Which she rarely does.
Thank God. Baruch Hashem. Poo.
Throw up, on the other hand.
If you're a digger in a car ride, you might get there. But
less cute.
But Torah is
Cute.
something that you have to take the milk, which is something that's given to you. You don't have to work for it, and it's just provided to you. But you have to regurgitate it a little bit. You have to churn it. You have to make it into butter, and not just take it the way that it's passed down to you in fully spoon-fed way. Yeah, and there's something that I guess that relates to Israel, that there's a line from Herzl, I think, that Lo nitna Eretz Yisrael al Magash HaKesef. It might be Ben Gurion, that the land of Israel is not going to be given on a silver platter. And today, Benny Gantz, who's part of the unity government now, he posted a picture of 8 soldiers who fell in battle. I said, Ze Magash HaKesef, this is our silver platter, which is like it's like an irony. It's like, there's work to be done in this land, and being here, we had yesterday we were picking weeds from a farm of dragon fruits, and we served pizza or making pizza pies for people in the south defending the border.
Yeah, I want to just elaborate on that because I feel like that was such a special moment, and even just total experience. Basically, Kevin's brother was getting married, so he he was a lone soldier at first, and during his service, and there was a family, the Kochs. In Hebrew, it's Kochs. They corrected us at the gate of the issue for the kibbutz, but essentially, this family has a bunch of greenhouses, and they're farmers in the south in Tecuma. And it's if you look up Tecuma, it's right near Gaza. Like, we were driving down there yesterday. The plan was, okay, we're going to go help the Kochs, like with their greenhouses and like planting, because they don't have enough workers now, and everyone's either fighting or they went home or whatever it was. And they also turned a lot of their like storage facilities and like their warehouses into low-key like an army base, an army storage. There were like army jeeps on their properties, and they stored like tons of ammunition there. And they also had one of the warehouses just like endless supplies for soldiers. They can come take whatever, shampoo, conditioner. What else did they have? Like
Sleeping
bags, Under Armour, all the things, anything you can think of that a soldier would need, they had. And then they also had these like a pizza factory where soldiers would come and they'd have pizza. They also had a big tent where like another rabbi came, and he was like serving like hummus v'basar, like meat and hummus, and a big like chicken soup. And it was just like amazing how giving he was of his property and his space to help Am Yisrael. So we made like 110 pizzas in like assembly line style for the night. And it was amazing to see. And if you're looking for a good cause to donate to, you feel like you haven't given in a little while, it cost them $1,000 every night to supply the Chaylim with pizzas. So it's an amazing place to give. So please reach out to us if you are inspired to give.
Link in the description.
But I just wanted to say, so that was really unbelievable, and a very special place. And I also just wanted to mention the drive down. It was like, we were driving down from Jerusalem it's like, really, if you look on the map, it looks like we're just driving to Gaza, which is what it felt like. And you could feel, at least I did, in the air, like this energy of just like, still like unhealed. It felt unhealed. And it felt really intense. And I was like a little bit shaking on our drive down, and I had like a pit in my stomach. And Tecuma, so we were like driving, and we pass kibbutz Be'eri, we pass Kfar Aza, we pass Nachalos, we've passed, what was that? And the big one.
Sderot, Netivot,
yeah. And we're just passing all of these places that were completely overtaken, so much trauma. And Tecuma, then we get to Tecuma, and nothing happens in Tecuma. They just skipped right over it. It's like just a crazy thing to see. Didn't make sense, but just one of the little blessings from Hashem. When I asked Abichai, the person who's in charge of everything, it's his farm, it's his house, I was like, what happened? He's just like, it's a little blessing from Hashem. And Abichai knows people that were killed that went to fight. His wife was standing with her pistol at the gate for 10 hours, at the gate of their neighborhood for 10 hours on October 7th, just ready to fight. Thank God they didn't come. But it's amazing that even in all the craziness and all the pain and all the suffering, he continues to see, and we should continue to see, the little miracles. And thanks for listening to my TED Talk.
Amen. Yeah. And I think one of the things that definitely like we've felt from like landing and being like, Israel feels a little like cold, or like what you were saying, like traumatized, to like once you work, like if you just come and you sit, take things in, there's a beauty to that. But you have to walk Dalet Amot, you have to walk those few feet, you have to climb the hills of Jerusalem, you have to make the pizzas, you have to feel like you're practicing outside of Israel for when you get to Israel, to be able to actualize the things that you've been thinking about. And hopefully it's a blessing for all of us to be reunited with our brothers. Vayigash elav Yehuda coming to Yosef. Hopefully all of those that are not yet with their families will be able to be reunited with them soon.
Amen.
And hopefully we, the rest of our trip here, can continue to work and to build and to connect and to put in the work, because that's how, you're in such a traumatic situation, and through making pizzas, even though it's something small, it's like a small miracle. And you build, when you have a greenhouse and you grow after destruction. Hopefully we all continue to grow.
Amen.
See you all in Israel soon.